The divorce papers landed on her hospital blanket before her husband even said hello. Eleanor couldn't move. 3 broken ribs, a punctured lung, a fractured pelvis. She had been waiting for Grant to hold her hand, to tell her everything would be okay. Instead, he brought paperwork. "Sign while you're still in good spirits from the medication," he said. Then he checked his watch. Twice. Like she was just another appointment. But Grant made one fatal mistake. He didn't know his wife's estranged father was a secret trillionaire. He didn't know that father had been watching, waiting. And 6 months ago, that father had quietly purchased Grant's entire company. Every stolen dollar, every hidden account, every lie Grant had told. Someone had been keeping records. Story promise. What happens when a man who thinks he's untouchable discovers he's been playing chess against someone who owns the entire board? What happens when a woman who lost everything finds the strength to take it all back? This is not just a story about revenge. This is a story about a woman who thought she needed to be saved and discovered she had the power to save herself all along. Stay until the end, because the moment Grant walks into that boardroom and sees who's really been in control will leave you speechless. Lesson and value. Before we begin, here's what this story will teach you. Sometimes the prison door has been unlocked all along. We stay trapped, not because we cannot leave, but because we are afraid to walk through. The people who hurt us count on our fear. They count on our silence. They count on us believing we deserve what they give us. This story is for every woman who has ever felt invisible. For every person who stayed too long because leaving felt impossible. For everyone who needs to hear that accepting help is not weakness. It is the beginning of freedom. The divorce papers landed on her hospital blanket before Grant even said hello. Eleanor blinked at the manila envelope. Her mind moved slowly through the morphine haze. The fluorescent lights hummed above her bed. The heart monitor beeped its steady rhythm. And her husband of 12 years stood at the foot of her hospital bed without flowers, without concern, without love. "I've been thinking," Grant said. His voice carried that calm, measured tone, the same one he used in boardroom presentations. "This is the right time for both of us to move forward separately." Eleanor tried to sit up. Pain shot through her ribcage. 3 broken ribs, a punctured lung, a fractured pelvis. 3 days post-surgery after a drunk driver ran a red light. She had been waiting for Grant to visit, waiting for him to hold her hand, waiting for him to tell her everything would be okay. Instead, he brought paperwork. "Grant?" Her voice came out hoarse, cracked. "What are you talking about?" He pulled a chair close to the bed, not to comfort her, to explain. He sat down and crossed his legs. His expensive Italian loafers gleamed under the hospital lights. His suit was pressed. His tie was perfect. He looked like he was closing a business deal. "I've already moved my things," he said. "I'm staying at the Riverside Hotel. My lawyer has flagged all the relevant sections. You should sign while you're still in good spirits from the medication." Eleanor laughed. The sound startled her. A morphine-addled, disbelieving laugh that made her broken ribs scream in protest. "You're joking," she said. "This is some kind of sick joke." But then she looked at his face. Really looked, and she saw the truth written in his eyes. He was serious. He had been waiting for this moment. He had calculated this timing with the precision of the CFO he was. He had waited until she was immobilized, drugged, vulnerable, unable to fight back. "Eleanor," he sighed like she was being difficult. "Let's not make this harder than it needs to be. We've grown apart. You know that. I know that. This is the mature way to handle things." The mature way. As if serving divorce papers to your wife in her hospital bed was the height of sophistication. "What about the house?" Eleanor heard herself ask. The question surprised her. Of all the things to say, of all the responses to this betrayal, she asked about real estate. We'll discuss that later, Grant said, through our lawyers. Did you feed the cat? Grant frowned. What? Whiskers. Did you feed him before you moved out? Eleanor, focus. This is important. Who's picking up my dry cleaning? I had a silk blouse at the cleaners. The blue one. She couldn't process the betrayal, so her mind grabbed on to mundane details. Practical questions, safe questions, questions that didn't require her to face the fact that her husband had just asked her for a divorce while she couldn't even walk to the bathroom alone. Grant stood up. He brushed invisible lint from his perfectly pressed pants. I'll give you time to read through everything, he said. My lawyer needs the signed papers by Friday. That gives you 3 days. I think that's more than fair. Fair. He thought this was fair. Grant. Eleanor's voice cracked. We've been married for 12 years. Exactly, he said. 12 years is long enough to know when something isn't working. He checked his watch. Twice. Like he had somewhere more important to be. Like his wife lying broken in a hospital bed was just another item on his daily calendar. I'll be in touch, he said. And then he walked out. The door clicked shut behind him. The sound echoed in the sterile room. Eleanor stared at the manila envelope on her blanket. The words swam in front of her eyes. Petition for dissolution of marriage. Irreconcilable differences. Division of assets. She didn't cry. The shock was too complete for tears. Instead, she stared at the ceiling tiles, counted them. 1, 2, 3, 4. The morphine drip clicked. The heart monitor beeped. The air conditioning hummed. 5, 6, 7. She counted them again. And again, because counting was easier than feeling. Counting was safer than thinking about what had just happened. Her phone buzzed on the bedside table. She reached for it slowly. Every movement sent pain radiating through her body. The screen showed an unknown number, the same number that had called 6 times this week. She had ignored it every time, assuming it was spam or a telemarketer. This time, there was a voicemail. The transcription appeared on her screen. Eleanor, this is urgent. I know what your husband is planning. I know because I'm the one who... The message cut off. Eleanor stared at the screen. Her heart rate increased. The monitor beeped faster. A nurse appeared in the doorway. Mrs. Whitmore, is everything all right? Your readings just spiked. I'm fine, Eleanor said. The lie came automatically. Just a bad dream. The nurse checked her vitals anyway. Adjusted her medication, fluffed her pillow with practiced efficiency. Your husband was here earlier, the nurse said. He didn't stay long. Is he coming back? Eleanor looked at the divorce papers on her blanket. No, she said. I don't think he is. When the nurse left, the room fell silent again. Eleanor picked up the envelope with trembling fingers. She pulled out the stack of papers, page after page of legal language. Terms and conditions for ending a life together. She found the page with the sticky note arrow. Sign here, Grant's neat handwriting. As if this was just another contract. Just another deal to close. She thought about their wedding day. Grant's vows. In sickness and in health, for richer or poorer, until death do us part. Apparently, sickness changed the terms of the agreement. The unknown number called again. Eleanor watched the phone ring. 3 times, 4 times, 5 times. Then it went to voicemail. Who was calling? What did they know about Grant's plans? And how could they possibly know anything about her marriage falling apart while she lay trapped in this hospital bed? She didn't have answers. She only had questions. Questions and a stack of divorce papers and the hollow feeling that her entire life had just shattered into pieces she couldn't begin to put back together. The morphine pulled her toward sleep. She fought it, tried to think clearly, tried to make sense of what had happened. But the drugs were stronger than her will. Her last thought before unconsciousness took her was about Grant's face, the way he looked at her. Or rather, the way he didn't look at her, like she was already gone, like she was already erased, like she had never mattered at all. The morning light hurt Eleanor's eyes when she woke. Someone had opened the blinds. The sun streamed through the window like it didn't know her world had ended. She was more alert today. The doctors had reduced her morphine dose. And with clarity came the crushing weight of what had happened. Grant's words played on repeat in her mind. This is the right time for both of us. I've already moved my things. Sign while you're still in good spirits. The cruelty of it, the calculated precision. He had waited until she was at her most vulnerable, until she couldn't fight back, until she couldn't even stand on her own 2 feet. Girl, I am going to kill him. Eleanor turned her head. Maureen Delacroix stood in the doorway. Mo, her best friend of 20 years, a nurse at this very hospital, and from the look on her face, she already knew everything. Mo stormed into the room. Her scrubs were wrinkled from a long shift. Her dark hair was pulled back in a messy bun. Her eyes blazed with righteous fury. "The whole floor is talking," Mo said. "That smug piece of work came in here yesterday and handed you divorce papers. While you're lying here with a collapsed lung, while you can barely move, I swear to God, Eleanor, I will find him and I will hurt him." "Mo." Eleanor's voice was weak. "How did you know?" "Honey, this is a hospital. Everyone knows everything within 15 minutes. Mo pulled up a chair. She took Eleanor's hand in both of hers. "Tell me what happened." Every word he said. Eleanor told her, the manila envelope, the calm explanations, the watch checking, the Friday deadline. Mo's face grew darker with every sentence. "That man is a snake," Mo said, "and I should have told you years ago." Eleanor's blood ran cold. "Told me what?" Mo hesitated. She looked at the door, then back at Eleanor. Something shifted in her expression. A decision made. "Honey, I've been biting my tongue for 3 years. That man has been cheating on you since before your hysterectomy." The room tilted. Eleanor gripped the bed rails. "What?" "Vivian Holt, junior executive at his company. I've seen them together, Eleanor. I have pictures." Mo pulled out her phone. She scrolled through her camera roll. Then she turned the screen toward Eleanor. Grant and a woman at a restaurant, their heads close together, his hand on her arm. The woman was younger, blonde, beautiful. Another photo. Grant's car parked outside an apartment complex. The same woman walking toward it. Another and another. Dates spanning back 3 years. Maho. Eleanor could barely breathe. "Why didn't you tell me?" "Because you weren't ready to hear it." Mo's voice softened. "Every time I tried to bring it up, you shut me down. You said Grant was working late. You said he was stressed. You said your marriage was going through a rough patch, but you'd work it out." She was right. Eleanor had said all those things, had believed them, had wanted to believe them so badly that she'd ignored every warning sign. The late nights at the office, the new cologne, the way Grant stopped touching her after the hysterectomy. He claimed he didn't want to hurt her while she healed. She thought he was being considerate, but he was already gone, already with someone else. "The hysterectomy was 2 years ago," Eleanor whispered. "I know, honey. He started pulling away during my recovery. I thought it was me. I thought I wasn't attractive anymore. I thought—" Her voice broke. The tears finally came, hot and angry and humiliating. Mo held her while she cried. didn't say anything wise, just held her. When the tears subsided, Eleanor's phone buzzed again. The same unknown number. Mo grabbed it before Eleanor could react. "Who is this?" Mo demanded. "She's in the hospital, you vulture. Whatever you're selling, she doesn't want it." Silence. Then Mo's face changed. Her jaw dropped. "Hold on," Mo said slowly. She handed the phone to Eleanor. It says he's your father." Eleanor took the phone with numb fingers. She pressed it to her ear. "Eleanor?" A man's voice. Older, familiar, in a way that made her stomach clench. "Eleanor, please don't hang up." "Dad?" She hadn't spoken to Raymond Calloway in 15 years. Not since her mother's funeral. Not since she discovered he had been secretly wealthy the entire time her mother fought cancer. The entire time they struggled to pay for treatments. The entire time her mother died slowly because they couldn't afford the best care. Eleanor had called him a coward, a liar, a fraud. She had sworn never to speak to him again. And yet, here he was, calling from an unknown number, calling while she lay broken in a hospital bed, just like Grant. "What do you want?" Her voice was ice. "I know what your husband is planning," Raymond said. "I know because I've been watching. I've taken steps, Eleanor. I've taken steps to protect you. I don't need your protection. I don't need anything from you. Please, just listen. Your husband has been moving money, marital assets, into offshore accounts. For 2 years, he's planning to leave you with nothing, less than nothing. He's planning to leave you with his debt." Eleanor's heart pounded. The monitor beeped faster. Mo watched with wide eyes. "How do you know this?" Eleanor demanded. "Because 6 months ago, I bought his company." The words didn't make sense. They couldn't make sense. "What?" "Whitmore Technologies. Grant's company. I own the controlling interest. Through a shell corporation. Grant doesn't know. No one knows. But I know everything he's been doing, Eleanor. Every dollar he's stolen. Every lie he's told. And I can help you, if you'll let me." Eleanor's hand shook. The phone nearly slipped from her grasp. "Why?" she asked. "Why would you do this? You haven't spoken to me in 15 years. You let Mom die. You let her die when you could have saved her. Why would you suddenly care about my marriage?" Silence on the other end. Then quietly, "I have cancer, Eleanor. Pancreatic. Stage 4. I have perhaps a year. And I didn't want to die with you hating me." The phone fell from Eleanor's hand. It clattered onto the hospital blanket. Raymond's voice continued, tinny and distant. "Eleanor? Eleanor, are you there?" Mo picked up the phone. She said something Eleanor couldn't hear. Then she ended the call. "What the hell was that?" Mo asked. Eleanor stared at the ceiling, at the tiles she had counted last night. Her cheating husband wanted a divorce. Her dying father wanted forgiveness. And she was trapped in a hospital bed, unable to run from either of them. "I don't know," she whispered. "I don't know anything anymore." The next morning, a man Eleanor didn't recognize walked into her hospital room. He wore an expensive gray suit. He carried a leather briefcase, and he introduced himself as Dennis Oakley, attorney at law. "I work for your father," Dennis said. He set the briefcase on the chair Mo had occupied yesterday. "He asked me to bring you some documents and some explanations." Eleanor's first instinct was to throw him out, to scream at him to leave, but something stopped her. Maybe it was the calm way he spoke. Maybe it was the exhaustion weighing her down. Maybe she just needed answers. "Talk," she said. Dennis opened his briefcase. He pulled out a folder thick with papers. "6 months ago, your father acquired a controlling interest in Whitmore Technologies. That's your husband's company. He did this through a shell corporation called Callaway Holdings. The acquisition was entirely legal and entirely secret. Why? Eleanor asked. Why would he buy Grant's company? Because 3 years ago, your father hired private investigators to keep an eye on you, from a distance. He wanted to know you were safe, that you were happy. Dennis paused. He discovered you were neither. 3 years. The same amount of time Grant had been having his secret affair, the same amount of time Eleanor had been telling herself everything was fine. The investigators found evidence of your husband's infidelity, Dennis continued. They also found evidence of financial misconduct. Your husband has been embezzling from his own company. Small amounts at first, then larger. He's been hiding the money in offshore accounts he set up using your name without your knowledge. Eleanor felt sick. My name? If the embezzlement is discovered, you would be implicated. You would potentially face criminal charges. Your husband has been setting you up to take the fall for his crimes. The room spun. Eleanor gripped the bed rails. That's not possible. Grant wouldn't. He couldn't. But even as she said the words, she knew they weren't true. Grant could. Grant would. Grant had already proven he was capable of anything. Serving divorce papers at her hospital bed was just the latest example. Your father bought the company to protect you, Dennis said. He now controls the investigation into the embezzlement. He can ensure the evidence points where it should point, at your husband, not at you. Eleanor's mind raced. She thought about her wedding day, Grant's vows, his promises, the way he looked at her like she was the center of his universe. She remembered their honeymoon in Italy, walking hand in hand through Florence, Grant pointing out architecture and history with the enthusiasm of a little boy. She had fallen deeper in love with him in those 2 weeks than in their entire courtship. She remembered coming home from the hospital after her hysterectomy. The flowers Grant sent to her room, the card that said, "We don't need children, we have each other." She had cried happy tears. But now those memories were tainted. Now she saw them through a different lens. Grant sending flowers because he felt guilty. Grant saying they didn't need children because he was already planning to leave. Grant's enthusiasm on their honeymoon masking his true nature, a performance. All of it. A 12-year performance. Mrs. Whitmore? Dennis's voice pulled her back. Are you all right? No, she said. I'm not all right. My husband has been cheating on me for 3 years. He's been stealing money and setting me up to take the blame. He served me divorce papers while I can barely breathe. And now you're telling me my estranged father has been watching me this whole time, like some kind of guardian angel. He prefers the term concerned parent. He let my mother die. The words came out harsh, bitter. He was rich. He could have paid for the best doctors, the best treatments. Instead, he hid his money and let her suffer. Dennis was quiet for a moment. Then he said something that surprised her. Your mother asked him to. Eleanor froze. What? Your mother knew about the money. She knew for years. She made your father promise not to use it on her medical care. She wanted him to save it, for you, for your future. That's a lie. It's not. I was there when she had made him promise. I've been your father's attorney for 30 years. I watched him tear himself apart, honoring her wishes, and I watched him tear himself apart again when you cut him out of your life. Eleanor couldn't breathe. The monitors beeped faster. A nurse appeared in the doorway. Is everything okay in here? The nurse asked. Fine, Eleanor managed. We're fine. The nurse hesitated, then left. Dennis watched Eleanor with careful eyes. I'm not here to ask you to forgive your father, he said. I'm here to tell you the truth and to offer you a choice. You can sign your husband's divorce papers and walk away. Accept whatever scraps he decides to give you. Or you can fight, with your father's resources behind you. I don't want his resources. I don't want his help. Then what do you want? The question hung in the air. What did she want? She didn't know anymore. She had wanted a happy marriage. She had wanted to grow old with Grant. She had wanted children before the doctors took that possibility away. None of those things existed anymore. They had never existed. They were illusions built on Grant's lies. That night, alone in her hospital room, Eleanor pulled out her phone. She scrolled through 3 years of photos, looking for the truth she had refused to see. There. A company Christmas party, Grant in the background, turned slightly away from the camera. A blonde woman at his elbow, Vivian Holt. There. A weekend trip to Napa Valley. Grant checking his phone, while Eleanor posed with a wine glass, his expression distant, his mind somewhere else. There. Their anniversary dinner last year. Grant's smile that didn't reach his eyes. Eleanor beaming at the camera, oblivious. She scrolled and scrolled. The evidence was everywhere, in plain sight. She had just refused to see it. Lock, unlock, lock, unlock, lock. She caught herself doing it, checking the phone obsessively, looking for proof she didn't need, looking for reasons to doubt what she already knew. Grant texted at 11 o'clock that night. Did you sign the papers? My lawyer needs them by Friday. Friday was 2 days away, 2 days to decide her future, 2 days to choose between submission and war. She typed a response. Deleted it, typed another, deleted that too. Finally, she turned off her phone. She stared at the ceiling, at the tiles she had memorized. I'm not crazy, she whispered to the dark room. I saw the signs. I just didn't want them to be true. The words felt like a confession, and like a promise. Raymond Calloway came to the hospital in person 2 days later. Eleanor was expecting Dennis again. Instead, she got the father she hadn't seen in 15 years. He looked old. That was her first thought, old and sick in a way that couldn't be hidden. His expensive suit hung loose on his frame. His face was gaunt. His eyes were tired. But they were her eyes, the same hazel green she saw in the mirror every day. Eleanor, his voice was rough. Thank you for agreeing to see me. I didn't agree to anything. You just showed up. You could have told the nurses to keep me out. She could have. She hadn't. She wasn't sure why. Raymond sat in the chair by her bed. The same chair Grant had used to deliver his divorce papers. The same chair Mo had used to reveal the affair. This chair had seen a lot of bad news. You look like your mother, Raymond said quietly. Don't. Eleanor's voice was sharp. Don't talk about her. All right. Silence stretched between them. The machines beeped. The air conditioning hummed outside the window. No, a bird sang its morning song, oblivious to the tension in the room. What do you want? Eleanor finally asked. I want to help you. You've been wanting to help for 15 years. Why now? Raymond was quiet for a long moment. Then he said, because I'm dying, and because your husband has finally given me an excuse. He reached into his jacket pocket, pulled out a flash drive. This contains everything: bank records, emails, wire transfers, proof of every dollar your husband has stolen, every account he's hidden, every lie he's told his board of directors. Eleanor stared at the flash drive. Such a small thing, such enormous implications. What would you do with it? She asked. That's up to you. We can turn it over to the FBI. Your husband would face federal charges. Embezzlement, wire fraud, tax evasion. He would go to prison. And his company would survive. I would make sure of that. The employees would not suffer for his crimes. But Grant would lose everything: his career, his reputation, his freedom. Eleanor thought about it, really thought about it, Grant in prison. Grant's smug smile wiped off his face. Grant finally facing consequences for everything he had done. It should have felt satisfying. It didn't. It just felt empty. What's the alternative? She asked. You sign the divorce papers, accept whatever settlement his lawyers offer, walk away clean, start over somewhere else, and let him get away with everything? Sometimes that's the easier path. Eleanor laughed, a bitter sound. You think I want easy? My husband served me divorce papers in my hospital bed. He's been cheating on me for 3 years. He's been stealing money and setting me up to take the blame. Easy stopped being an option a long time ago. Raymond nodded slowly. Then what do you want, Eleanor? Tell me what you want, and I'll make it happen. The anger came then, not at Grant, at her father, at 15 years of silence, at her mother's death, at all the things he could have done differently. I want my mother back, she said. Her voice cracked. I want the years I lost believing you didn't care. I want to understand why you let her die when you could have saved her. Raymond's face crumpled. For a moment, he wasn't a dying trillionaire. He was just an old man carrying unbearable grief. She made me promise, he said. Your mother. She made me swear on everything I held sacred that I wouldn't spend the money on her treatment. She said it was blood money, that she would rather die than benefit from things I had done to earn it. What things? Things I'm not proud of. Business decisions that hurt people. Competitors I destroyed. Partners I betrayed. Your mother knew all of it. She stayed with me anyway, but she drew the line at using that money to extend her own life. Eleanor didn't know what to say. This wasn't the story she had told herself for 15 years. This wasn't the villain she had created in her mind. She wanted me to save it for you, Raymond continued. For your future. For your children. She made me promise to watch over you from a distance, to only intervene if you truly needed help. And you decided I needed help now. Your husband made that decision the moment he handed you those divorce papers. Mo burst through the door before Eleanor could respond. Her face was red with anger. That witch Charlotte Whitmore is here, Mo announced. Grant's sister. She says she wants to talk to you. I told her where she could shove that request, but she's making a scene at the nurse's station. Raymond stood. I should go. Give you time to think. No. Eleanor surprised herself. Stay. I want Charlotte to see you here. Raymond raised an eyebrow, but said nothing. He moved to the corner of the room, a silent observer. Mo brought Charlotte in. Grant's younger sister looked nothing like the put-together socialite Eleanor remembered from family dinners. Her eyes were red, her makeup was smeared. She clutched a tissue in her trembling hands. Eleanor? Charlotte's voice broke. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. For what? For Grant, for Vivian, for all of it. Charlotte collapsed into the chair by Eleanor's bed. I found out last week about the affair. I confronted him, and he laughed at me. He laughed and said it was none of my business. He said you were weak, that you deserved what was coming. Eleanor felt the words like physical blows. Weak. She deserved it. He's been telling everyone your injuries are exaggerated, Charlotte continued. That you're playing the victim for sympathy, that the divorce is completely amicable, and you're making a drama out of nothing. Of course he is. I didn't believe him. I couldn't. Eleanor, you're not weak. You're one of the strongest women I know, and my brother is a monster. I'm ashamed to share his blood. Charlotte broke down completely, sobbing into her hands. Mo stood guard by the door, looking uncomfortable. Eleanor should have felt vindicated. Grant's own sister was turning against him. But she only felt tired, so tired. Charlotte, she said gently, look at me. Charlotte looked up. Her mascara ran in black rivers down her cheeks. Thank you for telling me the truth, and for believing me. What are you going to do? Charlotte asked. Eleanor looked across the room at her father, at the flash drive he still held, at the power he was offering her. I don't know yet, she said, but I promise you this. Whatever I decide, it will be on my terms, not Grant's, not anyone else's, mine. Eleanor discharged herself from the hospital 3 days early, against medical advice, against Mo's loud objections, against every instinct telling her to stay in bed and heal. But she couldn't heal, not lying in that room, not staring at those ceiling tiles, not waiting for Grant's lawyers to call with threats and deadlines. She needed to move. She needed to act. She needed to take control of something, even if it was just her own body. Mo helped her into a wheelchair, then into Mo's old Honda Civic. Every movement sent pain radiating through Eleanor's broken ribs. She gritted her teeth and endured it. Where are we going? Mo asked as she started the car. Eleanor gave her an address, a coffee shop downtown. Mo's eyebrows shot up. That's where Vivian Holt goes every morning, her regular spot. How do you know that? Dennis told me. My father's people have been watching her too. Eleanor, Mo's voice was cautious. Are you sure this is a good idea, confronting the other woman? I'm not confronting her. I'm recruiting her. The coffee shop was small and upscale, the kind of place that served $8 lattes and organic pastries. Eleanor sat at a corner table with her walker beside her. Mo waited in the car, ready to intervene if things went wrong. Vivian Holt walked in at exactly 8:15, blonde, beautiful, younger than Eleanor by 4 years. She wore a tailored dress and carried herself with confidence. She looked like a woman who had everything figured out, until she saw Eleanor. Then her face went pale. Eleanor waved her over. Vivian hesitated at the door. For a moment, Eleanor thought she would run, but then something shifted in her expression, a decision made. She walked to Eleanor's table and sat down. I was wondering when you'd find me, Vivian said. You were expecting this? I was expecting something. Grant's wife showing up at my coffee shop seemed inevitable. Eleanor studied the woman across from her, looking for smugness, for triumph, for the satisfied smile of a mistress who had won. She didn't find any of those things. Instead, she saw fear, exhaustion, and something that looked almost like relief. You're not what I expected, Eleanor said. Neither are you. Vivian glanced at Eleanor's walker, at the careful way she was sitting. I heard about your accident and about the divorce papers. Everyone at the company heard. Does everyone also know about your affair with my husband? Vivian flinched. Some people suspect. Grant wasn't exactly subtle. No, he wasn't. Silence fell between them. A barista called out someone's order. An espresso machine hissed and steamed. I didn't know he was married, Vivian said quietly. Not at first. He told me he was divorced. By the time I learned the truth, I was already in too deep? Something like that. Vivian's hands trembled around her coffee cup. And then I found things, financial things, things that scared me. Eleanor leaned forward. This was what she came for. What kind of things? Vivian looked around the coffee shop, making sure no one was listening. Then she leaned in close. Grant has been using me to move money. Accounts in my name that I never signed up for. Wire transfers through my bank that I never authorized. If anyone investigates the embezzlement, my name is all over it. I could go to prison, Eleanor, for crimes I didn't commit. Eleanor felt the pieces clicking into place. Grant hadn't just been having an affair. He had been using Vivian the same way he had been using Eleanor. Another pawn, another fall guy, another person to blame when the house of cards collapsed. You have proof? Eleanor asked. I have everything. Bank statements, emails, recordings. I've been collecting them for months. trying to figure out how to get out without going down with him. Why didn't you go to the police? Because Grant threatened me. Vivian's voice dropped to a whisper. He said if I ever talked, he would make sure I took the blame for everything. He said he has connections, lawyers, people who could destroy me. I believed him. Eleanor thought about the flash drive in her pocket. The evidence her father had collected. Evidence that could exonerate both of them and bury Grant forever. What if I told you there was another way? Eleanor said. A way to expose Grant without either of us taking the fall. Vivian's eyes widened. How? My father owns Grant's company. Grant doesn't know. No one knows, but my father has access to everything. Every document, every transaction, every lie Grant has ever told. The words hung in the air. Vivian stared at Eleanor like she was speaking a foreign language. Your father owns Whitmore Technologies? Controlling interest, through a shell corporation. That's not possible. The parent company is some European conglomerate. Callaway Holdings or something. Callaway is my maiden name. Vivian's mouth fell open. She sat back in her chair. Her coffee sat forgotten between them. Why are you telling me this? Vivian finally asked. Because I need your evidence, the things you've collected, to add to what my father already has. And in return? In return, I make sure the investigation clears your name. Every document you were forced to sign gets traced back to Grant's forgery. Every account in your name gets connected to his criminal activity. You walk away clean. That sounds too good to be true. Maybe it is, but I'm offering it anyway. Vivian reached into her purse. She pulled out a small flash drive, identical to the one Eleanor's father had given her. I've been carrying this with me every day for 6 months, Vivian said, waiting for the right person to give it to, waiting for someone who could actually do something with it. She slid the flash drive across the table. I'm not doing this for you, Vivian said. I'm doing this because I am not going to prison for that man. Eleanor took the flash drive. It felt heavier than it should. Years of evidence, proof of Grant's crimes, the key to her freedom. Thank you, Eleanor said. Don't thank me yet. Grant is dangerous when he's cornered. Whatever you're planning, be careful. Eleanor pocketed the flash drive. She reached for her walker. One more question, she said. Did you ever love him, Grant? Was any of it real for you? Vivian was quiet for a long moment. Then she shook her head. I thought I did, at the beginning. But you can't love someone who doesn't exist. Grant only showed me a character, a role he was playing. The real Grant is whoever serves his interests in the moment. I was useful to him, that's all. And when I stopped being useful, he would have thrown you away too. Just like he's trying to throw you away. Vivian stood. For what it's worth, I'm sorry, for all of it, for being part of this without knowing, for not coming to you sooner. You're coming to me now, that's what matters. Vivian nodded once, then she walked out of the coffee shop, back into her life, leaving Eleanor alone with 2 flash drives and the weight of everything they contained. Depicted. That night, Eleanor sat in a hotel room. She couldn't go back to the house she had shared with Grant, couldn't face the memories, the lies, the ghost of a marriage that had never really existed. She sat in the bathtub, fully clothed. The water ran cold around her. She didn't move. Mo found her there 2 hours later, banged on the bathroom door until Eleanor answered. You're going to give yourself pneumonia, Mo said. She pulled Eleanor out of the tub, wrapped her in towels, made her drink hot tea. I knew, Eleanor said through chattering teeth. I knew all along about Grant, about who he really was. I just didn't want to see it. Honey, that's not your fault. Then whose fault is it? I married him. I stayed with him. I made myself smaller and smaller, trying to fit what he wanted. And he was never going to stay. He was never going to love me. I was just convenient until I wasn't. Mo held her while she cried, didn't offer platitudes, didn't tell her everything would be okay, just held her. The hardest part, Eleanor whispered, is admitting I knew all along. I just didn't want to lose who I thought I was. A week later, Eleanor met Grant for dinner. His choice of restaurant, his choice of time. He thought he was in control. He wasn't. Eleanor arrived first. She had chosen her outfit carefully that morning, a navy blue dress that made her look confident. Her mother's pearl earrings, heels that hurt her still healing pelvis, every piece selected as armor for the battle ahead. Grant walked in at 7 sharp. He wore his charming smile like a mask. He kissed her cheek like they were old friends catching up. He ordered a bottle of wine without asking what she wanted. He always did that. "You look good," Grant said. "Much better than when I saw you at the hospital. Thank you. I'm glad you wanted to meet. I think we should handle this like adults. No drama, no lawyers drawing things out. A clean break." Eleanor sipped her wine. It was a good vintage. Grant always had excellent taste in wine. Terrible taste in morality, but excellent taste in wine. "I've had my lawyer draw up a revised settlement offer," Grant continued. "More generous than the original. I think you'll find it fair." "How generous?" "The house, your car, enough to cover your medical expenses. It's more than reasonable, Eleanor." More than reasonable. He was offering her the scraps from a table he had been secretly clearing for years. Offshore accounts, hidden assets, stolen money, and he thought she would be grateful for his generosity. "I've been thinking about our marriage," Eleanor said. "All 12 years. I've been thinking about when you changed. Was it gradual, or was there a moment? I'm curious." Grant's smile flickered. This wasn't the script he had prepared. "What do you mean?" "I mean, when did you decide I wasn't enough? When did you start planning your exit strategy? When did you start sleeping with Vivian?" His face went pale, just for a second. Then the mask slid back into place. "Eleanor, I don't know what you've heard, but I've heard everything, Grant. I've seen everything. Photos of you and Vivian, bank statements from accounts I never knew existed, emails between you and your lawyer planning how to leave me with nothing. That's not... I've also had some interesting conversations with my father lately. You remember Raymond? You met him at our wedding. He's been so interested in your career recently, especially your work at Whitmore Technologies." Grant set down his wine glass. His hand was shaking. "Your father? You haven't spoken to him in years." "We're reconnecting. He's been very helpful, very informative." Eleanor leaned forward. "Did you know he's been tracking your offshore accounts? Every wire transfer, every fake invoice, every dollar you've stolen from your own company." The color drained from Grant's face completely. For the first time since she had known him, he looked genuinely afraid. "Eleanor," his voice was tight, "whatever you think you know, I know you've been embezzling for 3 years. I know you've been using my name on fraudulent accounts. I know you plan to leave me holding the bag while you ran off with your mistress and your stolen money. That's absurd. You can't prove any of that." "Actually, I can. Vivian was very cooperative. She had quite a collection of evidence. It matches perfectly with what my father's investigators found." Grant's jaw clenched. His charming mask crumbled. "What do you want?" he asked. "I want my lawyer to look at your financial records. All of them. I want an accurate accounting of our marital assets. I want the settlement I'm actually entitled to, not the crumbs you tried to throw me." "And if I refuse?" Eleanor smiled. It was not a nice smile. "Then my father turns over his evidence to the FBI. and you spend the next 10 to 15 years in federal prison. Your choice, Grant. She stood up. Every movement sent pain through her healing bones. But she didn't let it show. She picked up her purse. She left 3 20s on the table for the wine. I'll be in touch, she said. Oh, and Grant, your deadline is Friday. I think that's more than fair. She walked out of the restaurant. Behind her, she heard Grant calling her name, demanding she come back, threatening, pleading. She didn't look back. Mo was waiting in the parking lot. She took one look at Eleanor's face and grinned. How did it go? I made him sweat. Good. He deserves to sweat. He deserves a lot worse than sweating. Eleanor climbed into the car. The adrenaline was wearing off. Her hands started to shake. I can't believe I did that, she said. I can't believe I just threatened my husband with federal prison. Ex-husband, soon-to-be ex-husband. Right, soon-to-be ex-husband. Eleanor laughed. The sound surprised her. It felt good. Mo started the car. Where to now? My father's estate. It's time we had a real conversation. Raymond Calloway's estate sat on 50 acres of rolling hills outside the city. Eleanor had never seen it before. In 15 years of estrangement, she had never even known where her father lived. The house was enormous, a sprawling mansion of stone and glass that looked like it belonged in a magazine. But the grounds were peaceful, gardens everywhere, a small lake, an orchard heavy with apples. Raymond met her at the door. He looked worse than the last time she saw him. The cancer was progressing, but his eyes were alert, focused. Thank you for coming, he said. Thank you for not lying to me. He led her through the house to a study lined with books. A fire crackled in the fireplace, even though it was late spring. Eleanor settled into a leather armchair. Her body ached from the journey. Dennis tells me your meeting with Grant went well, Raymond said. Depends on your definition of well. He knows I have evidence. He knows you're involved. He's scared. Good. Scared men make mistakes. Is that what you want? For him to make mistakes? Raymond was quiet for a moment. He stared into the fire. I want him to face consequences for what he's done to you. But more than that, I want you to be free. Truly free. Not just divorced, but released from everything he made you believe about yourself. Eleanor felt tears prick her eyes. She blinked them back. Can I ask you something? She said. Anything. Why did you really buy his company, before you knew about the embezzlement, before you knew about any of this? Why were you watching me? Raymond turned to face her. His eyes were wet. Because your mother asked me to. In her final letter, the one she wrote the night before she died, she asked me to watch over you from a distance, to never let you know, to only intervene if you truly needed help. She knew about the money, about everything. She knew, and she forgave me for it, even though I've never been able to forgive myself. He reached into his desk drawer, pulled out a stack of envelopes. Old envelopes, yellowed with age, tied together with a faded ribbon. These are her letters, Raymond said. She wrote them for you, over the years. Whenever something important happened, your graduation, your wedding, when you got your promotion at work. She wrote to you, even though she knew she wouldn't be there to see any of it. Eleanor took the letters with trembling hands. She asked me to hold them until you were ready, Raymond continued. I've been waiting 15 years to know if it's time. Eleanor untied the ribbon. The first letter was dated 3 months before her mother died. The handwriting was shaky but unmistakable. My dearest Eleanor, if you're reading this, I'm already gone. And I'm so sorry, my darling girl. I'm sorry for leaving you. I'm sorry for the secrets. I'm sorry for all the things I couldn't explain while I was alive. Your father loves you more than you will ever know, more than he knows how to say. He's made mistakes, terrible mistakes. But so have I. We all have. Don't spend your life angry, Eleanor. Don't let bitterness poison the years you have left. Your father needs you, and whether you know it or not, you need him too. I love you. I have always loved you. I will always love you. Be brave, my darling. Be kind, and be happy. Forever yours, Mom. Eleanor couldn't see through her tears. The words blurred on the page. 15 years of anger. 15 years of silence. And her mother had been asking for reconciliation all along. She wanted us to find our way back to each other, Raymond said quietly. She believed we would. Yeah, eventually. Why didn't you show me these sooner? Because you weren't ready. You were still too angry, and I was too much of a coward to face your rejection again. Eleanor read through the letters, one by one, her mother's voice speaking from beyond the grave, wisdom and love and forgiveness flowing through ink and paper. When she finished, hours had passed. The fire had burned down to embers. Raymond sat silently across from her, guiding. I don't know if I can forgive you, Eleanor finally said. Not completely, not yet. I'm not asking for forgiveness. What are you asking for? Time. Whatever time I have left. I don't want to die as strangers. Eleanor looked at her dying father, at the man she had hated for 15 years, at the man who had been watching over her all along. I don't want that either, she said. She didn't hug him. They weren't there yet. But she reached out and took his hand. His grip was weak, fragile. The grip of a man who knew his days were numbered. What do you want to do about Grant? Raymond asked. I want what's fair. Nothing more, nothing less. And if he won't give you what's fair, then we show him he has no choice. Raymond smiled. It was a sad smile, but there was pride in it too. Your mother would be proud of you. I hope so. That night, Eleanor stayed in one of the guest rooms at her father's estate. She couldn't sleep. Too many emotions, too many revelations. She went to the kitchen at 2 in the morning, found the ingredients for her mother's cinnamon rolls. The recipe she hadn't made since her mother died. She burned the first batch, completely ruined them. The smoke alarm went off, and she had to wave a towel at the detector like a fool. The second batch was perfect, golden brown, gooey with sugar and cinnamon. The smell filled the kitchen like a memory. She ate one while it was still too hot, burned her tongue, and cried, not from sadness, not from pain, just from the overwhelming feeling of something shifting inside her, something breaking loose, something starting to heal. 3 weeks later, Grant Whitmore walked into the quarterly board meeting at Whitmore Technologies, feeling confident. His numbers looked good. His presentation was polished. The new majority shareholder was finally attending in person, and Grant was ready to impress. He had spent the past 3 weeks in damage control. Eleanor's threats at the restaurant had scared him, but his lawyers assured him she had no real leverage. The offshore accounts were buried deep. The evidence was circumstantial. The divorce would proceed on his terms, just as he had planned. Eleanor was bluffing. She had to be bluffing. The boardroom filled with familiar faces, directors Grant had worked with for years, the CFO of the parent company, the legal team, and then 2 strangers walked in. The first was a distinguished man in an expensive suit, Dennis Oakley, according to his name tag, General Counsel for Callaway Holdings. The second was an old man, thin, sick-looking, but with sharp, intelligent eyes. He wore a simple, gray suit. He moved slowly, like every step cost him effort. Grant didn't recognize him, but something about those eyes seemed familiar. Welcome, Grant said, extending his hand with his best CFO smile. I don't believe we've met. I'm Grant Whitmore, CFO. The old man took his hand. His grip was surprisingly firm. We have met, actually, the old man said. At your wedding. I'm Raymond Callaway, Eleanor's father. Grant's smile froze on his face. I'm also the majority shareholder of this company, Raymond continued. Through Callaway Holdings, a fact I've kept private until now. The boardroom went silent. Every eye turned to Grant. His confident expression crumbled like a sandcastle in the tide. "I believe we have some matters to discuss," Raymond said. "Mr. Oakley?" Dennis opened his briefcase. He pulled out a thick folder. "The agenda has changed," Dennis announced. "Instead of quarterly earnings, we'll be reviewing some financial irregularities that have come to our attention, specifically a pattern of embezzlement spanning the past 3 years." Grant's mouth opened. No sound came out. "We have bank records," Dennis continued, "wire transfer confirmations, falsified invoices, internal memos, all pointing to systematic theft of company funds." He slid a document across the table. Grant's signature at the bottom. Authorization for a transfer to an offshore account. "We also have testimony from Vivian Holt," Dennis said, "a junior executive who was unknowingly used to launder stolen funds. She has provided sworn statements detailing her involvement and Mr. Whitmore's manipulation." Another document. Another signature. Another nail in Grant's coffin. "Finally, we have cooperation from federal investigators. The FBI has been building a case for the past 6 weeks. Today's meeting will determine whether this company cooperates fully with their investigation." Grant found his voice. "This is absurd. These documents are fabricated. This is a hostile takeover disguised as a criminal investigation." "The documents are genuine," Raymond said quietly. "I have forensic accountants who can verify every transaction. I have digital experts who can trace every wire transfer. And I have a daughter you tried to destroy." Their eyes met across the table. Grant saw no mercy in Raymond's gaze, only cold, patient justice. "The board will vote on immediate suspension of Mr. Whitmore's duties," Dennis announced. "All in favor?" Every hand in the room went up. Every director Grant had schmoozed and manipulated over the years, every person he thought was loyal to him. "The board will vote on full cooperation with federal investigators. All in favor?" Every hand again. "The board will vote to terminate Mr. Whitmore's employment for cause, effective immediately. All in favor?" Unanimous. Grant slammed his hands on the table. "You can't do this. I built this company. I made you people millions. You owe me." "We owe you nothing," one of the directors said. "A woman Grant had dismissed as a figurehead for years. You stole from this company. You lied to this board. You forged documents and manipulated employees. You're lucky we're only firing you and not pressing charges directly." "We'll leave the charges to the professionals," Raymond said. "The FBI has expressed great interest in Mr. Whitmore's creative accounting." Security guards appeared at the door. Grant looked around the room one last time, searching for an ally, a friend, anyone who might help him. He found no one. They escorted him from the building. He carried a cardboard box of personal items, his nameplate, his diplomas, the photo of him and Eleanor from their wedding. No one helped him with the elevator. Eleanor wasn't there to watch. She had chosen not to be. She was at physical therapy, learning to walk without her walker, rebuilding her body the same way she was rebuilding her life. Her phone buzzed with a text from Dennis. "It's done." She didn't feel triumph. She didn't feel satisfaction. She just felt tired and free, like a weight had been lifted that she hadn't even realized she was carrying. Her physical therapist, a cheerful woman named Janet, noticed her expression. "Good news?" Janet asked. Eleanor smiled. "Something like that. Well, whatever it is, your posture just improved 50%. Keep that energy." Eleanor laughed. Actually laughed. It felt strange after so many weeks of crying. Strange but good. She took a step without her walker, then another, then another. Each step hurt. Each step was progress. Each step was hers. 3 months later, Eleanor signed her divorce papers. The real ones this time, the fair ones. She sat in her lawyer's office with Mo beside her. The documents spread across the conference table detailed the equitable division of assets, the acknowledgement of marital fraud, the financial penalties Grant had agreed to pay. "Congratulations," her lawyer said. "You're officially divorced." The word should have hurt. It didn't. It felt like shedding a skin she had outgrown. Mo hugged her tight. "How do you feel?" "I don't know. Lighter, maybe?" "Lighter is good. Lighter is progress." Outside the lawyer's office, the sun was shining. Spring had turned to summer while Eleanor wasn't paying attention. The world had kept spinning even as her life fell apart and put itself back together. Grant had pled guilty to reduced charges. His lawyers negotiated a deal: 18 months in minimum security, a fine he would struggle to pay. The permanent end of his career in finance. Vivian Holt testified against him. Her immunity deal held. She moved to Seattle afterward, started over in a different industry. Eleanor didn't hate her anymore. They would never be friends, but they had found an unexpected peace. Charlotte Whitmore reached out regularly, apologizing for her brother, offering friendship Eleanor hadn't expected to want. They met for coffee once a month. Charlotte understood Eleanor's pain in ways no one else could. Sometimes the people who understood you best were the ones who shared the perpetrator. Raymond's cancer continued to advance, but the relationship between father and daughter continued to grow. Eleanor visited every Sunday. They didn't pretend to have the bond they should have had. They built the bond they could have now. "I've been thinking about what I want to do next," Eleanor told her father during one of their Sunday visits. "With my life, I mean." "And what have you decided?" "I'm going back to work, my old job. They've offered me a promotion, actually." Raymond raised an eyebrow. "Not interested in taking over my empire?" Eleanor laughed. "Not even a little bit. I'm not a business mogul. I'm a marketing director who's good at her job and likes her coworkers and wants to go home at 5 o'clock to walk her dog." "You have a dog?" "I'm getting one. A rescue. I've already found him at the shelter. His name is Biscuit." Raymond smiled. A real smile that reached his tired eyes. "Your mother would approve. She always wanted you to have a dog." "I know. She mentioned it in one of her letters." They sat in comfortable silence, the kind of silence that didn't need to be filled, the kind that came from understanding. "I'm proud of you," Raymond said. "Not because of Grant, not because of any of this. I'm proud of who you've become." Eleanor felt tears threaten. She blinked them back. "I'm trying," she said. "Every day. I'm trying to figure out who I am without being someone's wife, someone's disappointment, someone's victim." "You were never any of those things. Not really. You were always Eleanor. You just forgot for a while." She reached over and took his hand. His grip was weaker than it had been 3 months ago. The cancer was winning, but his eyes were at peace. "Thank you," she said. "For everything. For watching over me. For waiting until I was ready. For giving me the tools to save myself." "You saved yourself, Eleanor. I just provided some resources." "Still, thank you." He squeezed her hand. "Thank you for giving an old man another chance." 2 weeks later, Eleanor went on her first date in 13 years. His name was David, an English professor at the local university. Mo had introduced them at a dinner party, then spent the entire evening making unsubtly suggestive comments. David was nothing like Grant. He was quiet, thoughtful. He asked questions and actually listened to the answers. He laughed at his own jokes before anyone else could. He had kind eyes and a nervous habit of adjusting his glasses. The date was awkward. Eleanor spilled wine on her dress. David knocked over a candle and nearly set the tablecloth on fire. They ran out of conversation topics 3 times and sat in painful silence, staring at their menus. It was wonderful. Driving home afterward, Eleanor caught herself laughing. Not at David, at herself, at the absurdity of starting over at 38, at the terror and exhilaration of putting herself out there again. She wasn't healed. She knew that. The wounds Grant had left were deep. They would take years to fully close. Maybe they never would, completely. But she was living. For the first time and longer than she could remember, she was actually living. Her phone rang. Mo's name on the screen. "How did it go?" Mo demanded. "Tell me everything. Leave nothing out. Did he kiss you? Did you kiss him? Are you getting married?" "It was one date, Mo." "So? Great romances have started with one date. My parents met at a bus stop, and they've been married for 40 years. Eleanor laughed again. The sound still surprised her. "It was nice. He was nice. I spilled wine, and he set the table on fire, and it was completely awkward, and I think I want to see him again." Mo squealed so loudly, Eleanor had to hold the phone away from her ear. "I knew it! I knew you two would hit it off. I told him all about you, by the way. Only the good stuff. Mostly." "What do you mean, mostly?" "Nothing. Forget I said anything. So when's the second date?" Eleanor pulled into her driveway, her new driveway, the small house she had bought with her settlement money, a cottage with a garden, and a room for biscuit and morning light that streamed through the kitchen windows. "I don't know," she said. "Soon, maybe. We'll see." "Eleanor Whitmore, you are allowed to be excited. You are allowed to be happy. You don't have to be cautious about everything." "I'm not being cautious. I'm being realistic." "Excuse, same thing. Stop it." Eleanor smiled. Mo was right, of course. Mo was almost always right about the important things. "Okay," she said. "I'll try." 6 months later, Raymond Calloway died peacefully in his sleep. Eleanor was holding his hand when it happened. She had moved into the estate for his final weeks, sleeping in the guest room, spending every possible moment by his side. They had talked for hours those last days, about her mother, about the past, about the future Raymond wouldn't see, about the mistakes they had both made and the forgiveness they had both found. "I'm not afraid," Raymond said, 2 days before the end. "I've made my peace, with your mother, with you, with everything I've done." "I'm glad. Promise me something." "Anything. Don't spend your life looking backward. Don't let regret poison the years you have left. Live forward, Eleanor. That's all I ask." She promised, and she meant it. The funeral was small. Dennis Oakley was there. A few of Raymond's oldest friends and colleagues. Mo, of course, and Charlotte Whitmore, who had become an unexpected source of support. Eleanor spoke at the service. She talked about the father she had lost and found again, about 15 years of anger and the healing that came at the end, about the complicated nature of love and the possibility of redemption. She didn't mention the money, the company, the empire Raymond had built. None of that mattered. What mattered was the letters her mother had written, the conversations they had finally been able to have, the peace they had made before time ran out. After the service, Dennis asked to speak with her privately. "Your father left you everything," Dennis said. "The estate, the holdings, the charitable foundations. You're now one of the wealthiest people in the country." Eleanor had expected this. She wasn't sure how she felt about it. "There's also a letter," Dennis continued. "Raymond. Raymond asked me to give it to you after he was gone." He handed her an envelope, Raymond's handwriting on the front, her name. She opened it alone, sitting in her father's study, surrounded by his books and his memories. "My dearest Eleanor, if you're reading this, I'm finally with your mother again. I hope you're not too sad. I've lived a long life. Not always a good one, but a full one. And these past months with you have been the best of all my years. I need to tell you something, a truth I couldn't share while I was alive. I didn't buy Grant's company because I discovered the embezzlement. I bought it a year before any of that came to light. I bought it because I wanted to be able to help you if you ever needed it. I never intended to use it. I just wanted it there. A safety net. A father's last gift to his daughter. The divorce papers at the hospital bed were the trigger, but the protection had been in place all along. I was watching over you, Eleanor. Just as your mother asked, just as I promised. I don't expect you to use my money. I don't expect you to run my companies or carry on my legacy. I expect you to live your life, to find happiness, to build something beautiful from the ashes of what came before. You don't need to be saved, Eleanor. You never did. But sometimes accepting help isn't weakness. Sometimes it's the bravest thing you can do. I love you. I have always loved you. I wish I had been better at showing it. Live well, my daughter. Live forward, and know that wherever I am, I'm watching over you still. Forever yours, Dad. Eleanor sat with the letter for a long time. The fire crackled. The afternoon light shifted through the windows. Biscuit lay at her feet, a warm weight of unconditional love. She thought about the past 2 years, the divorce papers at the hospital bed, the betrayal, the rage, the grief, the unexpected alliances, the reconciliation with a father she thought she had lost forever. She thought about Grant, in prison now. His empire crumbled, his lies exposed. She didn't feel satisfaction at his downfall. She didn't feel pity either. She felt something closer to indifference. He had been the most important person in her life for 12 years. Now he was just a cautionary tale, a chapter she had survived. She thought about the future, her job, her house, Biscuit, David, who had become something more than a first date, Mo, who had been there through everything and would be there for everything yet to come. Her phone buzzed, a spam call from an unknown number. For a moment, her heart stopped. Old instincts, old fears. Then she laughed at herself. Some things left marks that never fully faded, and that was okay. The marks were proof she had survived. She stood up, walked to the window. The sun was setting over her father's gardens. The apple trees he had planted years ago were heavy with fruit. The lake reflected the orange and pink of the sky. Tomorrow, she would meet with Dennis about the inheritance. She would make decisions about companies and foundations and things she had never imagined dealing with. She would step into a new chapter of her life. But tonight, she just stood at the window, watching the sun go down, feeling the warmth of it on her face. She didn't need to be saved anymore. She never did. But sometimes, accepting help wasn't weakness. Sometimes it was the beginning of freedom. Sometimes it was the bravest thing you could do. And sometimes the prison door had been unlocked all along. She had just needed someone to show her it was okay to walk through. Eleanor Calloway smiled. The name felt right now. Her mother's name, her father's name, her own name, at last. She was free. 1 year later, Eleanor sat in her garden. Biscuit dozed in a patch of sunshine at her feet. A cup of coffee cooled on the table beside her. The morning was perfect. Quiet. Hers. David had proposed last month. She had said yes. They were planning a small wedding, just friends and family. Mo was already planning the bachelorette party with an enthusiasm that terrified Eleanor. The company her father built was in good hands. She had hired a CEO she trusted, someone who shared her values about ethical business and charitable giving. She served on the board, but didn't run the day-to-day operations. That wasn't her calling. Her calling was smaller, quieter. A house with a garden, and a dog, and a man who loved her without conditions. A job that challenged her without consuming her. Friends who had become family. Peace that she had fought for and earned. She thought about the woman she had been 2 years ago, lying in a hospital bed, drugged and broken, receiving divorce papers from a man who had never really loved her. That woman felt like a stranger now, a previous version of herself she had outgrown. The new Eleanor was stronger, wiser, scarred but not broken. She had walked through fire and come out the other side. Her phone buzzed. A text from Mo. Brunch tomorrow? I have wedding dress ideas. You're going to hate all of them. Eleanor laughed, typed back. Can't wait. Bring the terrible ideas. She set the phone down, picked up her coffee, watched the birds in her garden. The prison door had been unlocked all along. She had finally walked through. If you have ever felt alone in your struggle, you are not alone anymore. This channel is your community. If this story touches your heart, leave a comment below. Share your own experience. Your words might be exactly what someone else needs to hear today. Hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. Every week we bring you stories of strength, survival, and transformation. Like this video, if you believe every woman deserves to know her worth. Share it with someone who needs to hear this message today. Now, let the story begin. Closing disclaimer. This content has been carefully researched, developed, and manually edited by our team to deliver meaningful stories with valuable life lessons. Every character, every scene, and every word has been crafted to inspire, empower, and remind you that no matter how dark the chapter, your story is not over. Thank you for being part of our community.